Each set is sold separately, and some assembly is required.
They're throwing the castle overboard! Let's go get it! Joe!
G.I. Joe Shark comes with diver, Cobra watermarks, and comes with driver. Each set and other figures sold separately from Hasbro.
Hey, welcome to Half the Battle. This week, we're looking at Zartan!
No, not the character, but the G.I. Joe comic with that name.
Yeah, I really shouldn't pull this crap 2 weeks in a row, but it's a coincidence this time, I swear.
Yes, we're back to the comic this week with issue 25.
Zartan!
Look, it's with an exclamation point and everything! And the cover certainly looks promising. Cobra Commander and Zartan being chased by the Joes in a dragonfly. Too bad that the cover is lying as usual, and this does not happen in the comic. The opening page gives us the title,
Zartan!
So with a title like that, obviously the first thing we see is Storm Shadow. Yeah, he's being taken to Alcatraz of all places, where the Joes have a special secret prison cell just for him. Stormy tells them no prison can hold a ninja, but Roadblock retorts that nobody has ever escaped from Azkaban, I mean Alcatraz. I guess somebody has never seen The Rock. Roadblock further states that he'd love for Storm Shadow to escape, since that means he could hurt him some more.
Our hero, ladies and gentlemen.
We switch to the Florida swamps, where Cobra Commander, Destro, and the Baroness are on their way to Zartan's headquarters. Major Blood sadly couldn't make it, since the Commander had him thrown in the dungeons for betraying him a couple issues ago. The Baroness says that she betrayed him too, but the Commander retorts that she's far more charming than Blood. Though, if you ask me, he's just scared of what Destro would do. Zartan intercepts them and leads the trio to a shack. Destro seems less than impressed, and I can't really blame the guy since he lives in a freaking castle. Zartan, being a master of illusion, soon shows him that looks can be deceiving by showing him the whole thing is just a facade. Meanwhile, on a ship in the Gulf of Mexico, the Joes are preparing a recon mission into the very area the bad guys have gathered. They got the location last issue, if you'll remember. And we're introduced to some new Joes! Cutter, Deep Six, and Mutt. Oh, yeah, and a dog, Junkyard. Zap says Deep Six gives him the creeps, but Wild Bill says that, well, he's the best Deepwater man they have. Remember this, I'm gonna complain about it later. Snake Eyes, meanwhile, is visiting Gung Ho, who's still recovering from the wounds Storm Shadow gave him. He mentions the ninja had the same tattoo as Snake Eyes, prompting him to also plagiarize Batman by disappearing in the blink of an eye. Hawk learns of this and warns Alcatraz that if Storm Shadow is linked to Snake Eyes, he's far more dangerous than they had assumed. They go to check the guy out, but, as he promised, he's already escaped. And it's never explained how he managed to do that. We just have to assume because, what, ninja? Back at his headquarters, Zartan is showing off his chameleon abilities, and we're casually introduced to the Dreadnoks. He's also released Firefly and Wild Weasel, who he had taken prisoner the previous issue. The Dreadnoks, Buzzer to be specific, warns them that they've got incoming helicopters, so Zartan orders the two former prisoners to intercept them.
And that's actually pretty interesting.
Zartan is obviously a new player in Cobra, but he seems to have the favor of the commander. He immediately asserts his position in front of Destro and the Baroness, claiming his place on the totem pole by ordering the two lower members of Cobra around. It's another example of the Game of Thrones-esque intrigue within the terrorist organization. The Joe Recon team is inserted by the helicopters, though in Tripwire's case, he's literally inserted into the swamp. Wild Weasel and Firefly arrive on the scene, but luckily don't spot the team. They're too busy engaging the copters. They actually do pretty well against two freaking dragonflies in their dingy little water moccasin. So much so, in fact, that they've got one of them dead in their sights. But yet another new toy shows up to save the day. Deep Six comes along with the shark, the G.I. Joe submarine plane thingamajig, and he joins the fray. Since this is the newest toy we see, it is of course invincible and takes care of the boat quickly, though Firefly and Wild Weasel do manage to escape. As a result of this, the jockeying for position continues at the shack. The Baroness is less than impressed by Firefly and Wild Weasel. Plus, she hasn't seen Zartan do anything except some cheap parlor tricks. Zartan counters that at least his loyalty to Cobra Commander is unquestionable. The chess game continues, with the Baroness claiming she is loyal, counter-moved by the Commander, who mentions that, well, she betrayed him in Switzerland. This is counter-moved by her mentioning treachery best forgotten. She is, of course, talking about the Commander having ordered Blood to kill Destro. And what Destro says next can be interpreted in two ways. He asks the Commander what betrayal the Baroness was talking about, making it seem that he knows nothing about it. But she told him about the attempt on his life last issue. This could be seen as a continuity error, but since Larry Hama wrote both issues, it's more likely Destro is feigning ignorance to keep an ace up his sleeve.
I can't say enough how much I love Cobra's intrigue in the comic.
Meanwhile, the recon team is following a dog. Yeah, Junkyard has gotten loose and has smelled something. He leads the Joes to Firefly and Wild Weasel, who are promptly captured. Again.
I'm coming around to the point of view the Baroness has about these guys.
Yeah, they've managed to get themselves captured twice in as many issues. They should change their name to SG-1 at this point. Before the thrilling finale of the issue, we switch back to the G.I. Joe boat, where Deep Six is just returning from a job well done. Wild Bill tries to thank him, but he just walks past the cowboy like he isn't even there, causing him to get pretty pissed off. Which makes no sense, considering it was Zap who had a problem with the guy in the beginning of the story, and Wild Bill was defending him.
Told ya I was gonna complain about it.
Airborne has to explain this time that Deep Six just lives in a world of his own. Yeah, it's never stated outright, but it's pretty clear Deep Six has a form of autism. And even though it does cause friction, as we've seen here, the Joes in general just accept him and move on. So it's a pretty positive depiction, especially for 1984. Anyway, the comic ends with Cobra Commander demanding Zartan prove his loyalty as soon as an opportunity presents itself. And that opportunity may come very soon, since they hear somebody outside. Zartan opens the door, and the dog, Junkyard, is sitting there. Yeah, he had run off again. Seeing what he thinks is a stray dog, Zartan immediately wants to kill it, because evil, I guess? And that's the cliffhanger. Yeah, the situation that's supposed to keep readers hungering for more is whether or not a dog will live.
I hope you appreciate I'm using all my willpower not to use a clip from the Nostalgia Critic here.
If that confuses you, go watch his Independence Day review.
So, that was Zartan! A good issue, but it wasn't without its problems.
Let's start with the cover. It pisses me off. You see Zartan and Cobra Commander locked in battle with the Joes. Something that doesn't happen. It's the two other guys. Also, for an issue called
Zartan!
I would have expected him to get in on the action a bit. Don't get me wrong, his jumping knee-deep into the Cobra Command intrigue was very well done, but he should have had more to do than just threaten a dog. Firefly seems wasted so far. All this Master Saboteur has done so far is get captured. Twice. The Retaliation movie of all things had a way more badass introduction for the character.
On the Joe team side, things were hit and miss too.
Deep Six had a very good introduction, but Mutt and Junkyards were just weird. Their chief characteristic is that the dog is the friendly one, while the master is the mean one. That part they got across well, with Junkyard slobbering all over everybody, while Mutt cursed a lot. The thing that put it over the top was they insisted Mutt wore the muzzle the entire time. It doesn't so much make him look mean as it makes him look like an S&M enthusiast. At least in the cartoon he rarely wore it.
The story itself was very much a transitional one. It was just there to get the characters from point A to point B.
Storm Shadow and Snake Eyes are heading for a confrontation, as are the Joes and the entire Cobra Command team. That is actually a hook that works, so I don't get why they made the ridiculous decision to put the dog in peril.
So, there you have it. There were highs and there were lows, but it was an enjoyable reading experience overall. Well, see you next time, everybody.
Each set is sold separately, and some assembly is required.
They're throwing the capsule overboard. Let's go get it. Joe!
G.I. Joe Shark comes with diver, Cobra watermarks, and comes with driver. Each set and other figures sold separately from Hasbro.
Me shouting Zartan at the top of my lungs a bunch of times really endears me to the neighbors. So, there you have it. I have no idea what I was supposed to say next.